President Obama recently announced a change in his planned withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan, reversing his long-held intention to exit that conflict before the end of his administration. The Afghan president, as well as the Secretary General of NATO, welcomed Obama's announcement. But how much will the president's new plan actually help the situation on the ground there, where the Taliban is making a comeback and ISIS threatens to take some territory as well? Michael Waltz joins us to talk about this. He's a former Special Forces commander. He served multiple tours of duty in Afghanistan and the Middle East. He's also a former White House and Pentagon policy advisor and the author of Warrior Diplomat, A Green Beret's Battles from Washington to Afghanistan. He joins us from Washington. Michael, you recently wrote a piece for Defense One entitled 5 Reasons Obama's Afghan Withdrawal Delay is Necessary but Not Sufficient. He said you wrote one of the reasons in military terms, he's adding a Band-Aid to a sucking chest wound. What's the overview here? What's the story from your point of view?
Well, you know, there's a few things here, Larry. Let's just look very quickly at the situation that I think led up to the president's announcement. Just in the recent months, we've had Afghanistan's 4th largest city, and really its northern gateway to its capital, Kabul. The city is Kunduz, be taken by the Taliban. We have ISIS growing in increasing numbers in eastern Afghanistan, now threatening Afghanistan's second largest or third largest city, city called Jalalabad. And then just this last week, Afghan commandos, helped by our special forces, attacked and assaulted an al-Queada compound that was estimated to be 30 square miles with anti-aircraft weapons, IED-making materials, propaganda-making materials, both underground and above ground. And again, this is al-Queada, which the administration has claimed for years now was completely on the run. So you have a very precarious unity government in Afghanistan under assault because the entire region has heard since 2009, regardless of whether we're at 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 troops, the whole region has heard repeatedly from this administration, America is leaving, America is out, it's just a matter of time. So both our enemies and our allies are both hedging and preparing for that exit. And it's incredibly unhelpful to stability in the region, and I think it's working directly against our interests.
And you think we don't have enough troops left there anyway?
Well, one has to ask, if all of this is going on with 10,000 American troops there, what are 5,000 American troops going to do a year from now? So that's kind of question one. You know, and it's important, it's nuanced, but it's important to understand those troops are only engaging at kind of the Afghan equivalent of the Pentagon level and very senior commands. We really have lost our advisory effort down at the tactical level where the fighting is going on. The second piece is that our intelligence, well, this is incredibly important, and what keeps me up at night is most of our intelligence assets have been pulled out. So our eyes and ears to understand and to see things like a 30 square mile al-Queada training camp, which is the largest that's been found since 9/11, you know, have been pulled out and either dedicated to the ISIS fight in Iraq or pulled out because the White House has set these troop level numbers that, you know, we now have to fit under regardless of the situation on the ground.
The White House press secretary said that those troop numbers are the Pentagon suggested troop numbers.
Well, you know, so here you get into this kind of back and forth, Larry, that I think is incredibly dangerous. You know, I think we're seeing a situation where the Pentagon is suggesting what it thinks it can get. We also know, I mean, for example, General Stan McChrystal, when he was originally advocating for a surge, advocated for over 60,000 U.S. troops to stop the Taliban tide at the time. I was in Afghanistan at the time in 2009. He only got 30,000, and there's been a continual pressure from the White House to reduce, to reduce, to reduce, to reduce. So the Pentagon and the generals in the Pentagon need to push hard for what they think is really needed and not kind of accede to that pressure. But at the same time, we shouldn't kid ourselves that there's a heck of a lot of pressure from the White House to be under a certain level that's acceptable to the administration.
We've been in Afghanistan, Michael, for 14 years.
Right.
Longest war ever.
Sure.
I interviewed Vladimir Putin, I guess, 5, 6 years ago. And off the air, he said to me, I would never tell your country what to do, but let me give you a bit of advice. When you get stuck in Afghanistan, you really get stuck. It's a place you can't win.
My response to President Putin was he didn't suffer the most catastrophic attack on his homeland as we did on 9/11 coming from Afghanistan. And we're kidding ourselves if we don't think al-Queada is going to be resurgent, as we're already seeing now in Afghan territory, and will try to hit us again. So I think it's a bit of a different dynamic, number one. Number two, yes, we're 14 years in, but Larry, I think our national leadership needs to change its narrative here. I truly believe we are 14 years into a multi-generational 70, 80, 90-year-long effort. And while that sounds like an open-ended commitment to a lot of people, I think it's the same commitment that we made to South Korea, that we made to Germany, that we made to the Philippines, and others to defeat this world scourge, then known as communism. I think we're going to have to make the same type of commitment now to defeat this global threat called Islamic extremism. And until we as a nation wrap our minds around what we're really dealing with here, we're going to see these series of short-term, one-year-long delays and strategies that end up dragging out and amounting to, right now what I think is a strategic stalemate as best.
Those places you mentioned, Korea, Japan, the Philippines, they're all well governed. You think Afghanistan?
They are, Larry, they are now. People don't realize South Korea in the 1950s had a higher illiteracy rate than Afghanistan does today. It was ruled by a dictatorship. It had no army, no police force, no infrastructure to speak of because of years and years of Japanese occupation. The country was literally devastated and impoverished. And with sustained American engagement and leadership over time, we now have the 12th largest economy in the world. I know there's a lot of problems with that analogy, but it's also a great example of what a long-term American engagement and leadership can do when we believe something's in our national security interest. And I don't see any higher threat today than ISIS and al-Qaeda to the American homeland, but this administration refuses to embrace it and instead is kind of trying to wish it away over a series of kind of half-hearted policy engagement.
From this administration's point of view, they're not stupid.
Sure.
What do you think is the Obama aim here? Certainly not to lose any more lives overseas.
Absolutely, absolutely. And listen, as a soldier, I don't want to see another American soldier lost overseas. But as an American soldier, I know that engaging and preventing attacks abroad is better than sustaining them here at home. And both myself and many like me are willing to step up to that fight. At the same time, the administration has had a very aggressive, kinetic, with predator drones and targeted special forces raids policy, but we can't kill our way to victory. I think we need a much longer term strategy of how are we going to undermine the ideology of Islamic extremism abroad so that, frankly, victory looks like a situation where they can't recruit anymore. And I don't think we have that longer term piece in place. Instead, take this announcement. We've only delayed our withdrawal a year, which in my view, to be very candid, will keep a catastrophe of Afghanistan probably off the headlines for another year, but punts the problem. In a year in that part of the world is a blink of the eye. We need a longer term, multi-decade strategy for how we're going to defeat this ideology that's just currently, we just currently don't have.
Michael, thank you so much. You make a very strong case.
Thank you, Larry.
Michael G. Waltz. For more on his writings, follow the links on his Twitter feed under the handle @MGGWaltz.